Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. As you can see behind me, we have 911 SM, as I'm sort of calling it, my sort of backdated 78 SC from Autofarm. And I thought I'd do a video sort of having a little show around and point out all the key little bits. If I'm honest, when I bought the car, I didn't know, I couldn't reel off like the spec sheet for you. I knew a lot of stuff had been changed and I drove it and it was awesome. And that's kind of what I went from, but I kind of either have on my phone everything that's been changed, so I can give you a more comprehensive list of the changes to this car that makes it not stock and more and better for sure.
Aside from my soul,
to start with, we have the exterior. It was 78 SC, which normally would have the big impact bumpers, and basically moved it back to 73 S. It's a much cleaner look. Obviously, nice Fuchs wheels. Hiding behind here, you can see just squeezed into these wheels, set of Boxster brakes, which help it stop no end. At the moment we have these Toyo T1Rs, but I've had a bit of a problem where the rears are running 15-inch rims. For this size of tyre, I just can't find the tyres in stock, which is an absolute pain in the ass. So I noticed that Singer run a slightly bigger rim, which I think allows a lot more tyre options. Hopefully it's just a shortage at the moment, but I've managed to get like the last set in the UK of rears, and hopefully they'll come back in stock. Here we have the exhaust, and everyone has asked me straight away why it has 3 pipes. Now, it's basically an old school solution for having quiet exhaust and a loud exhaust without modern valve systems. So originally the car just had 1 pipe. It was a bit quiet, so I didn't want to change too much. So I ran this setup, which is 3 pipes, and you can have the 2 blocked and it just runs out the side, or all 3, and it's much louder. As you can see, we have these little valve caps that go in here, and I have 2 in, and then it's reasonably quiet. If you have all 3 open, it's quite loud. But as a bunch of people may have noticed on one of the earlier videos, it's running quite rich, and I've noticed this, and that is the compromise of having the switchable system, which I don't really like. I don't like it running so rich. So what I've done at the moment is I've plugged one of them, which means it's quite loud. Sounds pretty good, but it's not running quite as rich. I think what I would like to do down the line is probably change to just a 2-pipe exhaust, but find one that's just the right level of volume for sort of everything, and then you can put it on a dyno, tune it up, and get it running perfectly. But that may also involve changing the rear bumper, because you'll end up with a little hole here where the old exhaust used to come off. So that's why. If we move on to the inside, they make a nice solid noise, these old doors. We have things I've changed. We have a sort of an SC interior. I've changed these seats. It had some slightly funny ones when I bought it. These headrests look much better with these down, but I like a little bit of safety. In here, we have this sort of old Becker Indianapolis Pro, apparently, sound system, which does radio, it does nav and stuff, and you can also Bluetooth plug your phone in. I might change this, update this, so that you can do Bluetooth music from your phone. At the moment you can't do that. And in here we have, basically has an iPhone like port 4, so I've got a 5 adapter, but annoying, it doesn't charge. So you can now get these lightning adapters. So I can then wire another cable from there and it charges up. But it works really well. There's a big subwoofer under the driver's seat, and we've got some outrageous speakers in the doors. One of the things that was changed on the build of the car was the steering wheel. So it's like smaller steering wheel. And if I just get in here, you can sort of see from the driver's point of view, if it was a bigger steering wheel, you'd be able to see all of the speedo. So it just blocks off just nicely the illegal bit. But I have this mount here, and I run Waze, which does the speed. The previous owner had a little sticky digital gauge that went on there, but I didn't really like that. We have these really slightly funky heating controls. Basic controls the amount of cold air with a fan, up and down on the hot air, amount of hot air, and then you have this little lever down here that that's the throttle one. It's like a little hand throttle for when you start the car. This one here changes the amount of heat that's brought in from the engine in the back. These seats are a little bit wider than the other ones, but it does still work. Gear stick. I've had a lot of people comment saying maybe fit some sort of Wevo bits. It's basically a company called Wevo that change a couple of internals. At the moment it's alright. I'm going to run it for a couple of months, see how I feel, and then maybe change it. But as I definitely think if you've bought something, even if you can change some stuff straight away, like the exhaust I had to change, the seats I had to change, but I feel like definitely you've got to live with it for a bit before you change anything, because actually you might quite like it, and if you changed it you don't want to put it back. First time I had a passenger, he suggested I put a little grab handle up there, which I might do to make it just, there's basically nothing to hold on to when you're a passenger. You get sort of chucks about a little bit. Yeah, that's that. Onwards. Suspension wise, the car has been changed a little bit, sort of chassis wise. I got refer to my little document here. It has 930 turbo torsion bars and road spec Bilstein dampers in the original struts. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It rides really well, feels really stiff. It has an additional strut bar in the front to sort of stiffen it up a little bit. You'll see that in a minute. Other than that, we get to the engine. Engine wise, we have a 3 litre SC engine, bored out to 3.2 with Webers, and it puts out about 260, 270 I think, roughly that sort of horsepower. It's sort of enough really. It feels definitely genuinely quick, even though it's quite an old car. And yeah, it's quite amazing when you look in the back how much space there is. All my other Porsches have literally none, like the RS. You can't see anything. It's literally just hidden away, like, oh, there's an engine somewhere in there. Hey, you can kind of actually see it, which is kind of cool. Nice to be able to have a little look, a little poke around. That is the engine. In the front here you can see sort of nicely all carpeted. We have an extra reinforcing strut bar with Autofarm lovely written on it. In here is the, let me show you quickly. It's the caps that go in the exhaust. So I've sort of wrapped them up. There's one. I have a little tool and they basically fit with an Allen key. Takes about 5 minutes, something like that to do. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, that's in the front. Reasonable amount of space. You've obviously got the space behind the seats as well. This car doesn't have any rear seats. That was one of they were taken out. You can put them back in if you want. basically I just chuck a bunch of stuff in there whenever I get in the car. Don't normally bother putting stuff in the front. And that, everyone, is 911 SM. Hope you like it. I do. It's awesome.